Good morning, traders. It's Monday and time for a little installment of the Comic Book University. Today we're going to talk about pull lists. I'm going to give it a little while, let some people filter in. I'm going to do a little adjusting over here. But I wanted to discuss pull lists, and I live in an area where we've got several local comic book stores. I've got not the Road Trader, Black Cat Comics, Dr. Volt's Comics, as well as the Nerd Store right here all within like a 10-minute drive of me. Good morning, TM. How you doing today? I actually have those forum books that we were talking about, and I wanted to take a little bit of time and kind of discuss those a little bit. Sorry, I'm doing some adjusting on the other side here. I wanted to get a little background music going because I don't even know if you guys can hear it when the music's playing on my TV over there, but it just helps me to kind of stay focused and stay on track, if that makes any sense. All right. Oh, wow. We're filling up pretty quick here. Let's see. We've got TM Nerdy showed up. Good morning, TM. Shane. Good morning, Shane. Big Herm. How's it going, buddy? And then we got, of course, Fable. Everybody's favorite musician there. 62 Lefty Blues. Good morning. How are we doing today? So, yeah. I'm going to just discuss real quick. I don't know if I have a whole lot of space to fill with the subject today, but I want to also get to this pile of just amazing foreign edition comic books and tell you some of these stories because they're fantastic. But for the new traders, I wanted to kind of address the importance of a pull list. Those of us that have been doing it a while understand what these pull lists are. Basically, when you go to a comic book store, you can ask for certain books every month. And to give you an example, at the Nerd Store here in West Valley City, Utah, they're in the mall. They are our bad idea store. So when I go, on my pull list is every number one issue, or actually every first print issue of a bad idea book. So I don't ever have to worry about missing out. They're always cover price. I walk into my LCS and I ask for my hold, and they give me these books. I have them down. I've got a pull list at Dr. Volt's, and because I like to spread the love around, I go to all my LCS stores. Good morning, Mr. W. But Dr. Volt's, I've got every issue of Spawn that comes out goes on my pull list there. And then, of course, Black Cat is my primary LCS. Greg and I are really good buddies. And, that's where I keep my Firefly and my Star Trek and all the indie books that I'm reading and that type of stuff, my Swamp Thing. And they all do it a little bit differently. So go to your LCS, ask them how they do their pull list. It's very important. 62 Lefty Blues says it helps your LCS know they can pay their bills for that month. This is why the pull list is so important. It isn't because it helps them order or it helps them to know that they can order. So when I have $1,500 a month on my pull list, my LCS knows that's $1,500 a month that I'm going to come in for every single month. And then, of course, I pick up stuff off the shelves. Now, different stores do it in different ways. I know Black Cat Comics here in Salt Lake, what they will do is they require a down payment of $10, and then they open a hold for you. And after, I think, 6 months or something like that, I didn't have to do this because Greg and I are buddies, but after 6 months or whatever, they just deduct that off the bill, off the books that you've gotten. And they do that to protect themselves, primarily on that first order. You want to make sure that those books are covered, right? So, and that's kind of why he does it that way. And some of the advantages to this are, you know what books you're getting every month. I know every single issue of Star Trek that comes out, all the RIs, all the B covers, all of it. I know for a fact I'm getting every single cover. Same with my Firefly, every single cover, because that's what I've requested of Greg, and he makes it happen. And in addition to that, he gives a 10% discount off all books. So if you're a whole customer, you get 10% off all the books in his store, which is just a phenomenal advantage. Pays for tax, or however you want to look at it. That's just something that's a super benefit to the public. I'm gonna acknowledge a couple real quick here. Lions and Sons sports cards. How you doing? I've had a pull list at the same comic shop since 1993. That's pretty impressive. I actually have had a pull list at Dr. Volt's here in Salt Lake since about the same time. It was the early 90s. I actually owned a comic book store at the time and had a pull list at Dr. Volt's. I think it's very important to spread that love around. Roger. How you doing today? Bueller, nice to see you showing up. Great show. I've actually got a couple mystery boxes headed your way. I was going to do a mystery box unboxing on this show, and then I found out what you were doing, so I'm just going to forward that to you and let you do that. They're good friends of mine, so I didn't want to do it on my show, but they don't know what's coming to you. So it's kind of it doesn't really have to be a blind box because they make it well known what's in the box, but it's headed your way. Wish I had an LCS, being from UK comics or... Wow. You know, TM is in the same boat. TM lives in Canada and has to order his books because he does not have an LCS. And I will touch on that in just a moment. So anyway, my pull list at Black Cat, you get your books on a monthly basis and you get a 10% discount. We go over to Dr. Volt's, another store that I visit a lot here in Salt Lake. Their way of doing things is they give you the pull list. You get the same 10% discount. You don't have to pay the $10 up front. I don't think they're doing it. They recently undergone some new ownership. The gentleman from the nerd store bought Dr. Volt's. And we're not sure how that's going to affect the pull list, but you do get the 10% discount, and that seems to be pretty standard across the board. And so when you get the pull list, and then they give you free bags and boards with everything that's in your hold. Actually, they bag and board everything on the shelves too. So then we move down to the nerd store, which is in the mall. And being a mall location, they have to do things a little bit differently. Of course, mall rent is just outrageous. But you've got a hold there. They do free bags and boards, but they don't do the discount. What they do instead is they know their customers extremely well, and every once in a while they'll throw you like a super rare book or something along those lines. And yes, I am listening to some Pink Floyd. I don't have an LCS, but my own online shop gives me 35% off previews. I don't know if I need one. That's very true. Now the online stores, I've seen that formula work a few different ways. I don't think that nothing is ever going to replace an LCS, just for the camaraderie, the community that you get in an LCS. I think it makes it more than worth it to walk into there at any time. Nick says his LCS gives a 20% discount and bags and board the polls and new releases. Wow, that's actually incredible. That a 20% discount. That's crazy. I know that some of the bigger stores do things along those lines. One that I'm familiar with, of course, is Mill Geek Comics. Russ from the Comic Tom Show. I've discussed this with him a few times, and I've actually set up a hold. Because what he does is he has a Patreon where you pay $10, and basically that covers your shipping for the month, whether it's 1,000 books or whether it's a single book. So make it worth your while. But then then he just treats you as a regular hold and then ships your books out to you. And there's a few different places online where you can get hold services. I know my comic shop does something similar, and Midtown. And by all means, if your LCS does something along these lines, or you have a really nice LCS that you can mail order from, throw the information in the chat and let people know, because there are plenty of people that don't have access to an LCS. But basically what a hold is going to do for you is you get the deal on the books. You're going to get your books every month, and whether it's a discount or free bags and boards or giveaways, a point system, which is what they're going to at the nerd store locally. It benefits you by giving you those extra features, and the comic shop will do that because it gives you the opportunity, or gives them the opportunity to know what to order. And it helps them because they know because comic book stores need to order 3 months out. They need to know how many copies of Batman they're getting, how many copies of the next new thing they're going to have to order. So it helps them in that aspect, and it also tells them what their people are interested in. So if something is killing the children 16 he needs 50 books for hold orders, he knows that's a hot book, and maybe he should order a few more for the shelves. So it helps him in that aspect as well. So a hold service is invaluable to collecting. It's going to be your least expensive way to get current books and make sure you get them. So you want to do it to benefit you. You want to do it to help the shop owners plan for the future of their business, and all around it's just the way to go. So that's kind of my spiel on the poll list and how important it is. We'll pop over the chat real quick and see what people are saying. No Good Comics, good morning. Saying hello to Nick. I agree. Anytime, I'm glad to hop on. Just shoot me a message and we can make that happen. People saying hi to Bueller. Shane Lorison, I drive almost an hour to get to the only comic shop around. Not many shops in my area. And that's kind of where my business began. Is I created my own comic shop. For one thing, I wanted to get books at wholesale, but also my concept is mobile, and COVID kind of sidetracked us. But what we're going to be doing is we've got a renovated camping trailer. It's kind of a mobile bookmobile type situation where we take this mobile comic store to communities that don't have stores. We set up for a day or two and let people come and shop books and talk books. And so not only do they get books, but you get that feeling of community from a comic store. And of course, I'm very active in groups in those communities as well. so that they get a feel for me before I show up in the city or whatever. And I'm even going to go as far as go to the library in one of the local towns that doesn't have a comic shop, and I'm going to set up free comic book day there and just give away books on free comic book day to all the kids in the community. It's a Saturday, and as I walk in to do whatever they do at the local library, I'm going to be giving out comic books. So just a thought, if you don't have a shop anywhere near you, these are options that you have. Okay. If local shops match deal, if you go to your local shop and let them know what you're buying online for, they will oftentimes do that. Now, keep in mind, your local shop has to also pay taxes, where a lot of those online retailers don't. So for me, I know that I can get books online. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm a wholesale business, so it's a little bit different, but I can order from some of the larger subscription services and get 40% off at the level that I buy. But it's worth it to me to pay more in an LCS to keep the lights on. And I also have access. You build those relationships, and I have access to, like, Greg will give me first shot on some of these books that he knows that I'm after because I built that relationship. So you can't discount that at all, of course. And of course, the chat's definitely getting away from me. So I'm just going to pop all the way down here, see what we got going on. Yes, we've done it out of tents for the last year. And then once the trailer is going, that's going to be a huge thing for those communities, I think. That's very true. So, like I've mentioned many times, I literally have 8 comic shops within a 15-minute drive of me. There's 3 of them I have a hold service at, and they are the 3 big ones. And I do that because I just want to make sure that I'm supporting those local businesses. Of course, they do business with me. I'm their presser, and I do all that for them. But I would still be that person even if I didn't have a hold there. So just it's always a good idea to split the holds up, have 1 or 2 titles at each store. And for the reason I just mentioned, that you're going to build those relationships, and you'll be able to build a relationship to the point where I know that if Greg is going to get, a Conan number 23, I'm the person he's going to call. He's going to be like, this just walked in the door. How interested are you? That's just going to happen because we have built that relationship. I also have that kind of relationship with the nerd store guys. I know that if those foreign Conans come in, they're going to give me a shot at them. So it's always good to make friends and do business with your LCS. Yeah, and Nick says, I'll gladly pay a few extra dollars for a book at my LCS versus saving that money online. Treat your shops well, and they will reciprocate. And that's very true. I have made more decent investments from that philosophy than anything else. I just got a huge stack of Star Wars, the old Marvel Star Wars, at a crazy low price from my LCS because I have that relationship built with them, and I pay a little bit more for some of my old books, but in the long run, I think overall I'm saving money. So that is very important. So I did promise. So the other day I was talking with TM. We're talking about some books, and I have one of my LCSs. He's one of the owners that's really into the foreign comic book market and very knowledgeable about it as well. And we're going to be doing some future stuff with him because some of this stuff is just fascinating. Sorry, really dry mouth this morning, but so he gave me a short box to press and clean, a lot of foreign books, and this market is something I'm just now getting into, but it's so fun to look at these covers and hear the stories. So I wanted to show off some of this stuff. Wellsville was really, really good. So first up, we're going to, check this out. We've got a Spider-Man. This, of course, is the 129 cover. Kind of a different take on it, printed sideways. This is from the United Kingdom, £9. So, and what's really interesting is if you read up here, see Thor, God of Thunder, trapped in the world beyond. So they've actually got a Thor story inside a Spider-Man comic book. And this is the kind of cool stuff that you get with these foreign books. And I've got a couple pretty rare ones that he sent me. These aren't it, but of course, Secret Wars number 8. Not sure where this one is from. Germany? Looks like Germany, maybe. I don't speak foreign languages, so. Another Spider-Man key. And this is Panini, so that would be a European version. And I really dig this one. Little Howard the Duck with Red Sonja. That's so cool. Some Daredevil. I believe these are Spanish. Las Comics del Sol. And we get quite a few of those. Some Secret Wars number 1. Billed as a Spider-Man title. And he's really big into turtles. So, he was going through the whole history when I was at his house, an impressive collection. And he was going through the whole history of Ninja Turtles and foreign books. And I guess in Indonesia, they were ninja frogs. And they were non-canon. There were lawsuits involved. Just real interesting stories about these books. And so, gentleman owns one of the local comic book shops, and he's agreed to come on camera and discuss these things with us. So we're going to do that and bring that to the community as well. I believe that's right. Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. Just rare, bizarre stuff. Nick Carlson, where do you find international versions? So they're actually selling these in my local comic book store. He brings them in from all over the world. I've been in a couple groups. There's a couple really decent Australian groups that I'm in because they have some Conans that I'm looking for, some pre-decimal Conans. South Africa is another one that's really hard to get into. There's a huge Filipino market. And foreign books are extremely difficult to find in good condition. And very dirty most of the time. A lot of cover damage. And so to find high-grade foreign books is really tough. But there are plenty of books plenty of groups on Facebook where you can get these books. So, of course, this is Avengers number 1. So cool. We have, now this is an APO book. I'm really digging this one. This is a sub collection that I'm starting to work on, is APO books. APO books are books that do not have this right here. There's no price on it. So, but they're printed in English primarily. And basically what's happened is towards the end of the Vietnam War, where U.S. soldiers were being stationed overseas, there's a huge history of comic books in the U.S. military. These books were sent to the base stores, the PX, where the soldiers shopped, and they didn't have pricing on them because they would be priced individually in the PX and in local stores. A lot of these come out of the Philippines. It was a big spot for U.S. servicemen, and that they could easily get comic books too. So you'll see a lot of APO books coming out of those places. And typically they were much more damaged. This is a beautiful copy. I mean, it's a mid-grade, but for what it is, this is probably one of the highest grade APOs I've ever seen. So very cool. Next up, we got from, where's this one come from? I Fantastica Cuatro? Yeah, my Spanish not that great. Number 44, so the First Galactus. So very interesting. Of course, First Galactus, this is not an American First Galactus, right? You've got the Watcher, and I mean, it clearly says, even with my horrible Spanish, the arrival of Galactus. So very cool. But oftentimes what was printed in the States in the interior of a book would not match the cover. He's got really cool stuff that I'm hoping to get on camera, where you've got Batman. He had one that was just insane. You had Batman fighting Wolverine. Spider-Man was in it. Silver Surfer was in it. Superman was in it. And none of them were in the book, but they were all on the cover. And it was like a Spider-Man comic book or something bizarre like that from Indonesia, I believe, or one of those places. So that's very cool. And this guy, and odd sizes. So most of comic books printed in foreign countries were just bizarre sized. They're either oversized or much smaller. But check that out. Incredible Hulk 181. Now, chances are this is not the book that's inside, or some bizarre facsimile of it. But that cover is just spectacular, isn't it? A lot of grime on this one. Gonna have to take it out, give it a good cleaning, hydrate it, and do all that. But that's a beautiful, beautiful book. Now we've got 3 here that are extremely rare, and these are super cool to take a look at. And the first one he's really digging on and so excited about his foreign books. It's a blast to talk to him about these. But Project X, this is Eastern European of some type, Russian maybe. But of course, this is a cover we've all seen. But look at the vivid detail, the colors. So a lot of the times they basically redrew these covers and did a much better job than a lot of what was being done in America at the time. So that's just probably one of the best versions of this cover. Look at the detail in that. And keep in mind, this was late 70s, and you just did not see this quality in American covers at that time. Just a beautiful book. Pretty rare. Comic Book Clubhouse is greater to put stuff on eBay for a shop. Yeah, Mexican comics are probably the most common foreign books. But not really into the Mexican ones. What I'm looking for personally is super cool cover stories or American printed books, primarily in the runs that I'm looking at. So, I'm a big Conan collector, so I'm looking for like Australian pre-death Conans, South African superhero stuff, the Defenders, South African Defenders, South African Doctor Strange is really cool. Stuff like that. Stuff that I can actually pick up and read. John Thomas says APO is Army Post Office. That is correct, sir. Nick, random question I thought of when looking at my new comic books day stuff last week. When Stack's Finance buying a staple placement is not standard. Even it's the machines. And you see this a lot in standard binding. If you look at anything that's saddle stitched like that, it's the same way. Just because there's variations in the machines themselves, so they don't always line up exactly the same. It's very common with saddle stitching. In 1943 Tarzan #2 from Spain. That is amazing. Yeah, that is what it's about with these foreign books. You have to find the connections. It's crazy. So these last two are actually extremely rare. And these start verging into that area where books become priceless because there's one or two of them in existence. So the first one's from Germany. It's Superman, Stallmannen, #6. So this, of course, a Silver Age book. Very cool cover. You've got Superman, Batman, and Robin. But when this book was printed in the U.S., these two characters here were little girls. The German authorities didn't care for the fact that they had girls on the cover prominently, so they made them change them. It's the exact same characters, the exact same pose, but they drew them with boys' clothing on. This is one that's extremely rare, hard to find, and like I said, there's only a handful known to exist. 1954, actually. Wow, 1954. So that's that occupied post-war Germany. Very cool. You just can't find this kind of stuff in the States. Super hard. So got that one. And then the last one we're going to show, everybody knows this book. This is from the Philippines. And Philippines, the two places that you see a large majority of foreign books come from are Mexico and the Philippines. The Philippine stuff is well known to be in very poor condition. They put stickers on the covers. They didn't get treated very nicely. High humidity. They're very dirty and grimy when they come to me most of the time and need a good deep cleaning. This is probably the best version of a Philippine book that I've ever seen. This is insane. So we've got Amazing Spider-Man #300. And it's funny because if you look, they actually have it listed as number 1. But this particular book, there's 3 of these known to exist. And I've got one in my hand right now. So it was a very killer find. Okay, I shouldn't say 3 known to exist. There's 3 on the census. The highest CGC census book is a 6.5. This one's probably going to come in around a 7.5 after a press and clean. So this will end up being the highest book on the census, I believe. Just a super difficult book to find. I know that he's had various offers and some interest in this book that far surpasses what you would expect for an American version of this book. I actually have like 6 of these, of the American ones, queued for press right now. So this is just a crazy, crazy find for him. But I wanted to show that off because that is super cool. So if you're interested in that foreign comic book world, please let me know, because Roger, the gentleman that I got these from, has a massive collection, and he's not shy on camera. He would be glad to sit down and discuss foreign books. And like, all I'm doing is parroting the information he gave me. It's nothing compared to what he's learned over the years of doing this. And we can get him on camera and discuss that if you guys have an interest in that, for sure. And, you know, he sent me a couple other books that were getting pressed. Here's another really nice Filipino book. Oh, this one is so cool. La Mesa, the Hulk. Whoa. So that's super cool. Of course, a classic. I just did the treasury of this for a gentleman. An excellent copy of it. Just fantastic shape. You can't find those treasuries in really good shape. Eternals. 4. Another. Let's see where this one's from. Editorial Corno. It's got to be like Spain or one of those countries. Another Spider-Man, Superman book. And this one, Oh, Bob Watches the Rewind. Red Daredevil. So that's a recoloring, because, of course, that is the yellow suit that they colored red. So, very cool stuff. All right, so that's what I had for you guys today. A little over time. I'm wanting to keep these shows down to about 30 minutes. I wanted to throw this out there as well. If this is something I would like to see this going. I would like to see this continue for a couple hours on Monday after Bueller's Coffee Show. So if you are interested in following me and doing a live after mine every Monday, you know, reach out and let's see if we can make this a thing. And let's see, Tacky 616. I asked a question before, but you missed it. Why do you think LCS would be reluctant to use a computer database for the poll customers? You know, I think it just comes down to personal preference. And I've got, like I said, I've got 3 LCS. I've got an LCS that has an app. Like, you go on the app and select the books that you want, and then you just pop in next week, and they're in your hold. And then I've got an LCS that writes everything down on a piece of paper. Finally, now starting to get into spreadsheets. But I do believe that that's just a personal preference. Not everybody's as computer savvy as the next person. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. Of course, the ones that are working on the computers and integrating their hold lists. I know that a great example, if you watch the Comic Tom videos from the last few weeks, they've been talking about pull lists and how they use the technology and integrate that into their system. It just helps be more accurate. But I don't think there's any advantage to doing it manually. But for a comic shop owner that's been in business for 20, 25 years, and that's how they did it in 1990, that's what they're used to. That's how they've done it. So I think that's kind of your answer. Eric, nice to see you showing up. I was actually going to reach out to you. I hear you're a pretty decent artist. I got some commission work that I'm looking to get done, so we might have to discuss. Yeah, 62 says it comes down to the shop, and that's really what it is. It just comes down to the shop. Not all shops do it the same because they have to do it in a way that's comfortable for them, because you don't want them missing your books, right? So, but anyway, so that's my deal for today. If you would like to start following me on Mondays, please reach out and say something. Let's see, next week, Comic Book University, what should we discuss? Let's discuss ratio variants and what they mean to the community. So if you have any thoughts on ratio variants, shoot me a message. We will go through the ins and outs of how they work and how those ratio variants are set up and what they truly mean. And we'll have that discussion. So that's all I got for today. I need to get some work and get some books pressed. They are some awesome foreign books, and you can expect to see more from the foreign books in the future. So, till next time, traders.